Men, if you wake up in the morning and feel your legs heavy like concrete, if your feet turn cold at night, if your heart pounds harder just climbing a staircase, or if your erections that once came instantly now fade, weaken, or disappear completely, listen closely. These are not random signs of aging, they are warnings, silent alarms that your arteries are closing, blood flow is slowing, and your body is running out of time. For many men, the first place circulation collapses is not the heart, not the brain, but the penis. That is why your erection disappears years before a heart attack strikes. The cruel truth is this: most men are told there is nothing they can do except take pills or accept decline. But what if the solution is not another prescription, not surgery, not injections, but something shockingly simple? What if just 2 drops of the right natural oils could begin clearing hardened arteries, thinning sticky blood, dissolving microclots, and restoring blood flow even to men in their 70s and 80s? What if results could begin in 24 hours? My name is Dr. Moit Kara, and today I will reveal the 8 oils that can transform your circulation and your life. Before we go further, if you believe every man deserves real answers and real solutions, take 1 second to subscribe and turn on notifications. I create these videos for men like you who refuse to give up, and type 1 in the comments if you're ready to take back your strength. Now, let's begin the powerful part, starting with the first oil that can open your arteries and restore blood flow faster than you ever imagined. 8. Extra virgin olive oil. Imagine this for a moment. A man in his 70s, sitting alone at the edge of his bed at 2 a.m., staring down at his legs, rubbing his calves because they feel like they are filled with wet cement. He tries to stand, but his feet feel numb and cold, like they no longer belong to him. And maybe, just maybe, he hesitates before going back to bed because he knows what will happen next. He will lie there next to the woman he loves, wanting to reach for her, wanting to feel like himself again. But nothing happens. No response, no strength, just silence. Not because he doesn't want to, not because he doesn't care, but because the blood that once surged through his body like fire has slowed to a tired, painful trickle. One day, he woke up and realized that his erections, the symbol of his vitality, his manhood, his confidence, were gone. And no one ever warned him it would feel like the end of something sacred. Most men blame themselves. They think they failed. They think it is their fault. They think it means they are broken or weak. But the truth is brutally simple. The problem is not desire, not masculinity, not hormones. The problem is circulation. When arteries become stiff, clogged, and inflamed, when plaque builds up like rust inside an old pipe, the penis does not get enough blood to function. Erections are not about age. They are about blood flow. And once blood flow disappears, life loses color. This is where extra virgin olive oil becomes a lifeline, not just a cooking ingredient, but a powerful natural tool that has changed the lives of countless men. Rich in antioxidants and heart-healing fats, it works like a gentle cleanser inside your arteries, helping to remove the sticky buildup that narrows blood vessels, smoothing the inner walls so blood can move freely again. It protects against dangerous clotting, supports nitric oxide so arteries can relax and widen, and helps blood reach the heart, the legs, and yes, the penis. Many men who begin taking just 1 tablespoon a day describe a quiet transformation they never expected. Feet that no longer feel frozen, legs that do not ache after walking, energy returning after meals instead of crashing, morning erections returning like an old friend. A spark of confidence they thought they would never feel again. The kind of change that does not announce itself loudly, but whispers, "You are not done yet." Because when circulation returns, hope returns. And when blood moves with strength again, a man's spirit comes back with it. It is not magic. It is biology. It is nature supporting the body the way it was designed to work. All it takes is consistency. 1 spoon every day. A small act of self-respect. And if this is what the 8th oil can do, wait until you hear about the next one. It has the power not only to calm inflammation inside your arteries, but to restart blood flow so quickly that some men feel the difference almost immediately. Let's move on. You need to hear this. 7. Avocado oil. There is a moment many men never talk about, a moment that feels like a punch to the chest. It happens in the doctor's office when the blood test results arrive. And the doctor sits down, looks over his glasses, pauses, and says quietly, "Your numbers don't look good. Your cholesterol is up. Your triglycerides are rising. Your arteries are getting harder." He doesn't say it directly, but you can hear what he is really saying. You are running out of time. And in that split second, all the moments you took for granted come rushing back. Running with your kids, holding your wife's hand while walking on the beach, feeling your heartbeat strong inside your chest, waking up with morning strength that made you feel alive, powerful, unshakable. Suddenly, you are just Sign sitting there nodding politely while inside, you are terrified of losing control, terrified of becoming fragile, terrified of watching life shrink around you piece by piece. Most men don't fear death. What they fear is losing the ability to live while they are still alive. Losing their independence, losing intimacy, losing their dignity. Because when blood flow slows, everything slows. Your thinking, your strength, your energy, your confidence. You feel it in your legs first, then in your chest, and finally in your manhood. And yet, nobody ever tells men that inflammation is often the real killer. Not age, not fate, but the silent fire burning inside the arteries, making blood thicker, vessels tighter, and the heart work harder just to keep up. This is where avocado oil becomes more than food. It becomes a quiet miracle. Packed with calming monounsaturated fats and powerful antioxidants like vitamin E. It acts like a soft hand inside the arteries, gently reducing inflammation, soothing the inner walls, and giving blood the space and freedom to move again. It raises HDL, the good cholesterol that protects you while lowering LDL and triglycerides, the dangerous fats that clog and stiffen your blood vessels. It makes platelets less sticky, less likely to form clots that steal breath, steal movement, steal erections. Men who begin using avocado oil often say things they haven't said in years. They talk about feeling lighter after meals instead of bloated and exhausted. They talk about walking farther without stopping to catch their breath. They talk about the warmth returning to their legs and feet. And sometimes, when they are brave enough to say it out loud, they talk about strength returning in the bedroom, not because they became younger overnight, but because circulation returned, because life returned. There is nothing more powerful than the moment a man realizes he is not finished, that his story is not over, that he still has control. 1 or 2 tablespoons a day used for cooking, roasting vegetables, or drizzled over a simple meal can become the turning point the moment the tide begins to shift. And if avocado oil can do this much by simply calming inflammation from the inside out, imagine what happens when you use an oil that does more than protect the arteries, one that actually softens them, expands them, and increases nitric oxide naturally so blood can surge through the body like it once did. The oil we're about to talk about has stunned researchers and transformed the lives of thousands of older adults. You're going to want to hear this. 6. Pumpkin seed oil. There is a sound every man dreads, though most will never admit it. It is the sound of his own heartbeat pounding too hard inside his chest late at night, lying in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling each thump like a warning bell, wondering if this is the night something breaks. He places his hand over his heart, trying to steady the rhythm, trying to breathe slowly, trying to convince himself everything is fine, but he knows something is wrong. His blood pressure is creeping higher. His chest feels tight after walking up a flight of stairs. His legs swell by evening and ache when he stands. He sits on the edge of his bed and massages his calves, hoping the heaviness disappears, hoping tomorrow will feel different. But the truth settles into him like a weight. His body is changing, and he no longer feels in control. Not of his strength, not of his energy, and certainly not of his blood flow. And then in the most private moments, reality becomes impossible to ignore. The blood that once surged through his body with force struggles to move at all. Erections that once arrived effortlessly now disappear without warning. The body that once felt unstoppable now feels fragile. It is a kind of grief no one prepares men for. A silent loss that steals confidence, steals joy, and steals identity. Because when circulation weakens, it is not just a physical change. It is emotional, it is spiritual, it is a slow fading away that no man deserves to face alone. But what most men never learn is that the heart is not the enemy. The arteries are not broken beyond repair. The problem is pressure, high pressure that forces blood through narrow, stiff vessels until they crack under the strain. And hidden deep within nature lies a quiet rescue. Pumpkin seed oil, dark, rich, and loaded with magnesium, zinc, and powerful antioxidants that act like a soft, steady hand, relaxing the arteries so the heart doesn't have to fight so hard. It has been shown to lower blood pressure gently yet meaningfully, soften hardened arterial walls, and support nitric oxide, the chemical signal that tells blood vessels to open wide and let life move freely again. Men who begin using pumpkin seed oil often describe the change not like a lightning bolt, but like a sunrise. One day, they notice their legs feel lighter. Another day, they realize they walked farther without stopping. The pressure in their chest eases. They sleep more peacefully. Their morning blood pressure reads lower. And quietly, unexpectedly, erections begin to return with more strength, more warmth, more presence. Not because they became younger, but because blood flow finally had room to move again. 1 tablespoon a day drizzled over a salad or soup can be the moment when a man stops sinking and starts rising. Because when pressure falls, hope rises. When arteries relax, life expands. When circulation returns, intimacy returns. And if pumpkin seed oil can soften arteries and ease the strain on the heart, what would you say if I told you the next oil not only restores blood flow, but also makes the blood itself less sticky, less dangerous, and far more capable of delivering power exactly where a man needs it most? The next oil might shock you. Let's keep going. 5. Sesame oil. There is a moment many men never forget. It happens when they stand in the shower and suddenly feel a sharp burning cramp, seize their calf like a vice grip, forcing them to grab the wall just to stay upright. The pain is so intense it steals breath. They wait for it to pass, water running over their back, heart pounding, wondering if this is just another cramp or the warning sign of something far worse. When the muscle finally releases, they continue showering, but something inside them changes. A quiet fear begins to grow because deep down they know cramps that strike like lightning are not normal. They are signs of blood struggling to reach the muscles, signs of circulation failing, signs that the body is begging for help. Later that night, they lie in bed and press their fingers against their lower legs, feeling the tightness beneath the skin, feeling the pulse slow and weak beneath their fingertips, wondering how something once so strong could unravel so quickly. They think about how simple things now feel difficult. Walking across the grocery store without stopping, climbing stairs without leaning on the rail, sitting down without feeling pressure in the chest, and then in the most private moments, the truth hits harder than the cramp ever did. Erections no longer arrive with strength, and when they do, they disappear like a match blown out by wind. It is a silence that cuts deeper than pain because it feels like losing a part of identity that no one ever prepared them to lose. But what most men never hear is that much of this suffering comes from oxidative stress, the slow internal rust that damages arteries, stiffens vessel walls, and turns smooth, healthy blood flow into friction and struggle. And this is where sesame oil becomes a quiet miracle. Loaded with natural compounds called lignans, it shields blood vessels from oxidative damage the way armor shields a soldier. It supports healthy nitric oxide levels so arteries can open wide and let blood surge instead of crawl. It reduces platelet stickiness so blood becomes smoother, less prone to clotting, less dangerous. And it helps soften stiff arteries, not temporarily but consistently day after day. Men who begin taking sesame oil often describe something remarkable. The cramps that once woke them from sleep begin to fade. Their legs feel lighter when they walk. Their feet feel warmer. Their breathing deepens. And slowly, unexpectedly, intimacy changes. Erections become fuller, stronger, more reliable. Not because they found a secret pill, but because circulation returned like water flowing freely after a dam breaks. Hope returns quietly, naturally, powerfully. 1 tablespoon over vegetables, over soups, over warm grains can become the simple act that turns fear back into confidence. Because when blood moves freely again, a man feels alive again. When the body stops fighting itself, the spirit stops sinking. And if sesame oil can protect arteries from internal rust, imagine what happens when we introduce an oil so potent it not only protects blood vessels, but also thins the blood itself, helping it glide effortlessly into the smallest arteries of the body, including those that control erections. The next oil does exactly that, and it has changed lives in ways that still surprise researchers. Keep listening. You need to hear this. 4. Almond oil. There is a story I hear from men all the time, and it begins the same way. A man goes to tie his shoes in the morning, bending forward the way he has done thousands of times without thinking. But this time, something different happens. A sudden wave of dizziness hits him like a flash of lightning. The room tilts. His vision goes blurry for a second. He freezes, hands gripping his knees, heart racing, trying to steady himself before he falls. He laughs it off, tells himself he just stood up too fast. But deep inside, fear floods through him because he knows that feeling wasn't normal. It was the warning sign of blood that can't reach the brain fast enough. Blood that moves like slow syrup instead of a strong current. Blood thick and struggling through narrow, clogged arteries, and that moment becomes the beginning of a terrible new awareness. His body is not the safe place it used to be. From that day forward, small things begin to change. He feels lightheaded when he gets out of his car. He loses balance briefly when stepping out of the shower. His hands and feet feel cold, even in summer. His energy fades in the afternoon like someone dimmed a light inside him. And when he tries to be intimate, he finds himself searching for strength that simply doesn't come. He looks down, waiting, hoping, but nothing happens. A few seconds of silence feel like hours. The disappointment in his own chest feels heavier than the dizziness ever did because losing erections isn't about sex. Not really. It is about identity. It is about dignity. It is about waking up and feeling like yourself. What most men never realize is that thick, sticky blood is often the real reason erections fail. When the blood becomes too heavy, too slow, too full of fats and inflammatory waste, it cannot rush into the penis with force. It cannot fill the chambers, cannot build pressure, cannot hold firmness, and that is where almond oil becomes powerful, rich in vitamin E and soft heart-friendly fats. It works like a lubricant inside the arteries, reducing the thickness of the blood, gently lowering the dangerous LDL cholesterol that clogs the vessel walls, and calming the inflammation that triggers clot formation. It acts like cleansing rain after a long drought, thinning and smoothing the flow so it can move freely again. Men who begin using almond oil often describe changes they never expected. Their heads feel clearer, their vision sharper, the fog lifts from their mind. Their energy rises, they breathe easier, their skin feels warmer, their heartbeat feels steadier and quietly, in a moment they'll never forget. Erections return stronger, fuller, more stable, like the body suddenly remembered how to be alive again. 1 teaspoon in the morning or evening stirred into warm milk or drizzled over oats has become a lifeline for countless men who believed they had run out of options. Because when the blood becomes smooth again, everything becomes possible again. And if almond oil can transform the quality of blood itself, prepare yourself for the next oil. It does something even more extraordinary. It improves testosterone and sexual vitality while increasing nitric oxide so dramatically that some men feel the difference in days. The oil we are about to talk about has been called the spark of life. You will not want to miss this. 3. Flaxseed Oil. There is a moment many men pray will never happen. It is the moment they look into the mirror and almost don't recognize the man staring back. His shoulders slumped, his eyes tired, his skin pale, the spark that once defined him gone. He lifts his chin, trying to see the strength he once carried with pride, but instead, he sees the weight of exhaustion, the strain of fighting a body that no longer listens. He runs his hand across his chest and feels the shallow breathing, the quick heartbeat, the tightness beneath the ribs that never used to be there. He looks down at his hands and sees the tremble he pretends not to notice. And then his eyes shift lower to the one place he wishes would still answer him, still rise with power, still prove that he is alive. But nothing happens, and the silence between what he remembers and what he now lives in is almost unbearable. He dresses slowly, feeling older than his age, and sits on the edge of the bed, staring into the space where the life he once knew used to be. He remembers the younger man inside him who felt unstoppable, who woke every morning ready to take on the world, whose pulse was strong and confident, whose body responded instantly with passion and fire. That man feels far away now, separated by years of stress, inflammation, pressure, and the slow tightening of arteries that have become stiff and clogged like old copper pipes. And no one ever warned him that the first sign of failing circulation wouldn't be chest pain or a trip to the emergency room. It would be the quiet disappearance of erections, the slow fading of intimacy, the loss of strength in the most private part of life. But what most men never hear is that the body is not giving up. It is fighting. It is inflamed, struggling, burning inside the blood vessels, trying desperately to push against thick, sticky blood that cannot move with force. That fire must be calmed before blood can flow like it once did. And this is where Flaxseed Oil becomes extraordinary. Rich in a compound called thioquinone, it works like a fire extinguisher inside your arteries, cooling the inflammation that causes vessels to narrow and blood to harden. It supports nitric oxide, allowing arteries to relax and open so blood can surge with power. It has been shown to gently raise testosterone levels, delivering the strength and vitality men feel slipping away. It helps reduce plaque buildup and smooths the blood so it can reach every part of the body, including the smallest and most important arteries inside the penis. Men who take Flaxseed Oil describe something remarkable. Their chest loosens, their breathing deepens, energy returns, their mood lifts. They wake with morning strength they haven't seen in years and feel a warm rush of blood that reminds them they are still men, still alive, still capable. 1 teaspoon a day can feel like relighting a flame that never should have gone out. And if Flaxseed Oil can reignite vitality like this, the next oil does something equally powerful, but in a different way. It wakes up the arteries themselves, forcing them to expand and pull in blood with intensity, restoring circulation so rapidly that some men feel the difference almost immediately. The next oil is unlike anything you've ever heard of. Stay with me. 2. Pomegranate Seed Oil. There is a moment that can break a man in ways nothing else can. It happens when he is standing in front of the sink brushing his teeth, and suddenly his nose begins to bleed without warning. Not a little drop, but a steady stream that forces him to grab a towel, lean forward, and wait helplessly for it to stop. His heart pounds, his hands shake. He feels lightheaded as the blood drips into the sink. And in that moment, staring down at the red water swirling into the drain, he understands something he has tried to avoid for years. His blood pressure is out of control. His arteries are under strain. His body is failing silently. And for the first time, he feels the real possibility that life could change forever in one unexpected second. After the bleeding stops, he sits down in a chair holding the damp towel, feeling a wave of exhaustion wash over him. He remembers the man he used to be. The man who worked long days, carried heavy loads, lifted his children into the air without a second thought, and loved his wife with the strength and confidence of a warrior. A man whose blood moved like a river, whose heart beat like a drum, whose body responded instantly with passion, certainty, and fire. Now he feels like a spectator inside his own skin. His chest tightens after walking up a hill. His breath shortens after climbing stairs. His legs swell at the end of the day, and when he reaches for intimacy, nothing happens, not even a flicker. The silence is louder than thunder. Most men think weak erections mean a problem with testosterone, but that is not the truth. Erections fade because the arteries that feed them are too narrow, too stiff, too damaged to deliver the surge of blood needed to create firmness. When pressure inside the vessels rises too high, the body is fighting to survive, not to perform. And the first place the body will sacrifice blood flow is the penis. It is nature's cruel design. Survival over pleasure, safety over intimacy. And that is why men feel like they are losing themselves long before anyone else sees what is happening. This is where pomegranate seed oil becomes something extraordinary. It contains powerful antioxidants that act like a cleansing flood, clearing away the hardened sludge that sticks to artery walls. It boosts nitric oxide, relaxing and widening blood vessels so blood can rush through with force. It breaks down harmful oxidative stress that ages the arteries, restoring elasticity, warmth, and power. It makes the heart's job easier. It sends blood where a man needs it most. And for many men, it brings back something they believed was gone forever. The sudden rush of heat, pressure, and fullness that signals a real erection returning. Men who take pomegranate seed oil describe feeling more alive, more awake, more grounded in their body. Their faces regain color. Their hands feel warmer. They walk with more confidence. They feel their hearts beating with quiet strength instead of fear. The bedroom becomes a place of hope again. And if this oil can widen the arteries so dramatically, imagine what happens when you add an oil that doesn't just open the pathways, but restores the entire system. An oil so powerful it can reduce plaque formation and thin the blood itself, allowing circulation to move like lightning. The next oil is the strongest on this list, and what it can do for a man's body is nothing short of remarkable. Stay with me. This is the one you've been waiting for.